Good afternoon there, YouTube. This is Stampede Valkyrie again, and the ongoing effort to, if you want to call it video, document some of the stuff that I'm working on. As I always tell people, hey, I'm working on a whole crap load of bars, and nobody ever really seems to believe me. Here's another one for you. This is actually mine, so this is not for somebody else, which is actually a kind of a relief to work on. I have too many other things going on, so I'm finally going to do something myself. What we're looking at here is a Federal Signal, the base of a Federal Signal JetSonic bar. Now here's the deal. This is a bar that I'm assuming was converted from the typical JetSonic with the two end caps and the speaker in the center to more of a JetStream type setup. If we come back here and take a look, and somebody will probably chime in because they're a little bit more familiar with these models than I am. I'm an aerodynamic guy, not really a JetSonic guy. But we've got a Model J, Series A, 12 volts. Now this is a synchronized gear JetSonic or JetStream. It's whatever you want to use. I'm going to go with JetSonic due to the build date and the fact that I think this did actually have a speaker at one point and they converted it. But what I mean by a synchronized gear is if you take a look at the rotator assembly, you'll see the black gear similar to an aerodynamic, the same way the aerodynamic gears sync right there. And then if we go to the other side, you'll see that it's the same thing over here with the two rotators. The independent rotator Jet Series bars are similar to that other video that I made, where they're all one assembly and they're not connected by chain. And what I mean by that is if we go to the center of the bar, as you bear with me here, we've got the motor here and then a gearbox. Now this is very similar to the Aero Twin Sonic / Twin Sonic, wherever you want to go with that. This thing basically motor drives two gears, worm gear drives two gears, which in turn spins a cog, sends a chain over to this guy. This in turn here then spins the other two, obviously other two rotators. And then if we go to the other side, and you can kind of see it too if I come over here, there's the chain, at least it's chain going to this side. And it comes over to this side and actually spins those two guys. So basically, this is probably one of the later or last versions of the whole chain-driven sync rotator bars that Federal made, starting with the Visi bar, moving on to the Twin Sonic, then to the Aero Twin Sonic, which is the other style of aerodynamic that I documented before, and lastly moving on to here with the JetSonic bars. Now, JetSonic bars weren't all gear-driven. Some of them were independent rotators. They did have different model numbers to them. Off the top of my head, I don't know off the top of my head what they are. This one, however, is also not considered a smart JetSonic. Well, it may have been a smart JetSonic at one point, but as you can see, the control box, which would fit here, since we're looking at the back of the bar, like I said, the name tag, the motor, we're looking at the back of the bar. The control box that would sit here is not here. There's actually just a wiring block in here, a couple FA3s, and then the rat's nest is what I call that. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to go in there and even try to detangle this rat nest. I actually wanted to go through and just do some basic cleanup on it. As you can see, the bar itself is actually not in too bad a shape. The date on this bar is kind of hard to read. The camera's not really going to pick it up. You kind of got to get it in the light just right. But it does say 12-86. It's just really faded. This camera's not going to find it. I'll see if I can point it out, if I can catch it. You can kind of see a 2 here. You can see the 3-2 in the upper right hand corner if you look real closely next to the 11. Where's my thumb? Bear with me a moment. Right here, you can see a 3-2. It does actually say 1286. I'm trying to see. I don't think the camera's going to pick up on it. That shows you exactly how faded this is. I'm kind of surprised that some lettering is faded out. Other lettering is still there. So I'm going to go with the fact that this bar was manufactured in December of 1986, which kind of goes along with my assumption of being that this was originally a standard JetSonic bar. Had the speaker in the center. They modified it to be an all-light bar, and as you can see, they dropped in two basically forward and rear facing lamps. Other than that, the bar actually is kind of loaded. It does have rear flashers, as you can see here. It also has its alley lights. Again, rear flashers here, alley lights. Set up very, very similar to the aerodynamic. It's just a much lower profile light. Now, in my opinion, the Jet Series bars were not as effective as the aerodynamic, in my opinion. That's just my 2 cents. Do I dislike them? No. But again, as I said before, I'm an aerodynamic guy. I'm not really a Jet Series guy. But as I found this and I figured, you know what, I'm going to take it out and actually play with it. Let's do a little bit of documentation on it and go from there. So let's go ahead and power this guy up, and you can kind of see what I mean by an independent versus a gear-driven. I'm not going to test all the functions. I'm just actually going to power up the rotators and kind of show you how this works. So bear with me a moment here as I reach down and flip the switch. And we're live. There we go. So here we go. As you can see, 2 gears driving, 2 outer gears, synchronized rotators. As we move across, there's the motor. One of the things I will note right quick is the fact that this thing was making quite the racket about a half hour ago. I sprayed in some contact cleaner. I have some special contact cleaner that I use on other projects. And all this pretty much black soot, if you want, not really soot, but if you want to call it carbon buildup and so forth, spewed out of the back, kind of look like chocolate milk. Let it sit for a little bit and power it up. As you can hear now, as I'm going to shut up for a moment, it's not chatty at all. So will it stay like that? I don't know. I may have to take the motor out and rebuild the brushes, but it's working a lot better than it was. You can see the worm gear in there, or worm gear that's in there, and you can see it spinning the 2 other gears as it drives the chain. As we move across down here, there's the chain. Remember I told you before the chain travels into the bar? There it is. So there's a chain in action. There you go. And then we go to the other side of the bar here with these 2 rotators here. So in a nutshell, all I really wanted to talk about was this bar itself. This is the next bar that I'm working on. It's probably going to end up going back up on the rack though. I've got a couple other bars that I have to finish prior to this. I figured I'd just take it out, give it a clean up, and talk about it. One of the things I did take note of, and somebody else that's a little bit better than at wiring than me in regards to jet bars, here's what I came across when I actually did the wiring and actually just did function tests. So obviously red is usually always primary rotators. Black, ground. There's a red with white stripe, didn't do anything. Blue with white, or black with white stripe, didn't do anything. Brown wire, which is usually speaker, and brown with white wire, both do the same thing. They were flashing these center rotators, these guys here, these 2 in the center. It doesn't seem like they're steady on. Looks like they just flash. So whoever wired them up for that. Blue was front and rear flashing, so there are flashers on this light, as I was talking about before. Here's a flasher here. There's also a flasher up front. Where's my finger? Here. And then there's another flasher over here, and then another one back here as it's got the rear flashers. Just have to be careful because the camera doesn't show me exactly where my finger is. So we've got flashers. Gray is the takedown. It's kind of weird. The takedown lights on this bar are actually set up on 2 different circuits. Gray takedown driver, as we've got down here, takedown driver. Yellow is takedown passenger. The takedown lights are these guys right here. This one and this guy over here. I have a feeling that with the way these are wired that they may have been set up as strobe lights in a previous life because of how it's set up. It wouldn't surprise me if this was a smart bar, that if there was a J20 or J22 power supply installed in this at one point and they were used as strobes and somebody just modified them and turned them into flare or the takedowns, especially how they're wired. Could be wrong. Orange and green, we've got alley light driver and alley light passenger, which is really no different from the aerodynamics, as you guys can see. These guys here, alley lights, so on and so forth. So why did it take so long for me to actually take this bar out and actually work on it? Well, I'll show you here in a moment. So here are the domes. As you can see, the dome, I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is the, I'm going to say the, let's see. This is probably the passenger side, but give me a moment. One-handing this. As you can see, the alleys on here are the old style. That's the red with the center cutout. Both of these domes, and here's the other one. This is the driver's side. Needs to be cleaned up. I haven't done it yet. Have red alleys with the center cutouts. They're very hard to find. They're hard to locate now. I wanted a blue one. A buddy of mine down in Tennessee actually found me a blue one. He actually hooked me up with that, which is pretty nice. Once again, nods to him. So now that I can just start working on the domes, I'm going to replace these guys. These things here, these spacers, they still work, but they're pretty much dry rotted, and I have a spare set anyway. So I'm going to replace those. Those are going to come out. I'm going to hit these guys, including the center divider piece, up with some plastics, try to take some of that yellowing off. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not really expecting it to be, but it'll look better than what it was. Once that's all said and done, I'll have this up on YouTube and have a video of it. So I figured I'd just throw this out there, as I know a lot of people like to see what I'm working on. So there it is. All right, YouTube, give yourself a good weekend.